We do worship excellently when we have excellent worship 52 Sundays a year. And there's no Sundays off, and there's no Sundays that are where we can really blow it.
I think that an intelligent leader is a very discriminating leader, and it's someone who knows how to use boldness when boldness is called for, and understands that there are going to be other times when you have to be the person that kind of encourages the congregation to step back a little bit.
One of the super important things that a leader needs to do in a congregation is really to tell a story about the future, not so much the story about the past also. To hold up in front of people what we can become and what we're going to become if we live out the values that we really said we really agree on.
You kind of gulp with every wonderful new visitor who comes in the door. Every new time you have 30 people standing up on the platform that have joined the church, you think, damn, I'm going to have to work again. And of course you do it because you love them and you love the movement and you want the church to be strong.
And I think serving a growing congregation has called me to be a better minister than I otherwise would have been. I've had to be public in ways that are completely uncomfortable for me, but are important for me and for the congregation and for Unitarian Universalism.
What is your role as minister in growing the congregation you serve? What do you bring that the context or the members do not or perhaps cannot bring?
I'm the spiritual leader of the church, the voice of God. Nobody else is that voice. We Unitarian Universalists like to think that we're different in that maybe we're not so much that voice of God, but I think that we are for our people. I think that we're leaders institutionally, but we're also spiritual leaders. And so I'm not speaking just of myself now, but I'm saying that that has to inform everything that I do.
I don't think of it as the voice of God, but I think of it as the medicine man, the shaman, the person who is there to make to open the spiritual doors for people. And if you ask them, they say it's sermons, but I don't think they're right about that. I think the sermons entice them in, but what is really transformative is not in the sermons, it's in the worship, and it's in the week after week in the community, and it's in the invitations to do some of the other things. But they do, I think some of them really think that if they touch me, they'll get a spark, and that's, which they will in Albuquerque.
I think that what I first brought to the church was a love of and joy in ministry. I just think this is a remarkable profession, and the way we can make anything that we can see part of it is incredible to me. There's nothing that I can imagine that I can't do in the context of my work, and that is just endless re-falling in love with that aspect of it, and then working with the church to live that out. The other thing I think I brought to Silver Spring to begin with was that I had fallen in love with them, and I was able to tell them that they were lovable, because the church was not clear on that.
I think that the pulpit is extremely powerful in my ability to sort of shape how we discuss growth and shape how we're going to talk about growth, numerical growth, as well as other types of growth. And the power that the minister has is there to express that. The other problem has been, there has been some of the community says, I no longer feel like I know everybody. I don't know everybody anymore. There's all these strangers, and I found that using the pulpit to respond to that has been, sometimes I've done it very hard. Sometimes I've said, some people would say that, they've lost their sense of family, and so what I propose is a lottery, we'll have everybody put their name in a hat, and we'll draw out 50 people to kick out of the church so that we can return to a good size. And then everybody is so stunned by that, and so
They are.
and I say, well, what do you think would be a fair way to return this to a comfortable size? And sometimes I take a little bit of a softer edge, which I can do.
Some of these comments remind me of something that Betts Weineke quotes often to the ministers in our cluster, and that is that any time there's a conflict or an upheaval or anxiety or anxiousness, that our role is to be a non-anxious presence. We are currently going through some extraordinarily, intensely disruptive times because of the nature of what's happened in our building project. So there's a lot of dis-ease in a congregation that's doing wonderful things, and they want me to be the port in the storm. They want me to be grounded so that they can be ungrounded and then check in. You know, okay, am I doing okay? Yes, you're doing fine. And then they can go back out and do whatever it is they need to do. But they need me to carry the confidence that we are about the business we have said we're going to be about, that we are doing it in a way that is good for us to be doing it, and that we can face the Philistines and win, and you know and they need me to be this non-anxious presence. And it certainly invites me into a depth of relationship with this community that is not the one I would have imagined I would be in.
I am not just obviously using my own story, but I do use my story when it's appropriate to talk about the love that I have for these beliefs and values, and the fact that I truly believe at the core of my being that our world would be a transformed, healthier, and more holy place if these values were made real in our midst, and that they are being made real here at Wellsprings. I do that with a lot of humor because I really recognize, as I was saying before to Victoria, I'm very mindful of the way in which, as organizing minister, the congregation is certainly taking on some of my strengths, but it's also bound to and already is taking on a number of my weaknesses.